we are, week 7 at Kyalami. I got Jay in the booth joining me once again. Thank you, Jay,
Yeah, no problem.
gracing us with your presence. Um, so before we get started, I'm going to pull up the season standings. Um, we currently have Moda leading the championship at the moment, but just by a single point separating him and David Macedo. So very, very close battle at the front.
Yeah, I mean, that was quite the performance that Alex put on at the last race there, so I'm not surprised. Um, yeah, I mean, we've got some guys that haven't showed up for a few races. Hasselbrock had a commanding lead at one point, but has he's fallen back down to 10th. So, I mean, we talked about being fast, not enough. You also got to show up. So, um, yeah, I mean. It's Scott Taylor in fourth. That is amazing. That's
Yeah.
a pretty good showing. So
Yeah, and he's been, even with some of the lack of some of the top guys showing up to races, it's not only a case of Scott being here, but he's really done a great job, finishing in that top five a lot of races this season. So great to see him in fourth place, well deserved. Um, and even Francisco, one of our newer drivers, up in eighth place. Evan Miller seventh. So and a lot of these positions are just separated by a few points. I mean, it really goes down the whole grid here, where depending on how things end this race, it could really shuffle things, and then taking us into the last race of the season next week, we could see some other shuffling. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where the chips fall. Well, and as the warm up lap is starting here, I'll pull up the qualifying order. So we have some interesting stuff here. For the quali, we had Eric Alvarez did qualify first. What happened? It looks like Moda did not make it in time to qualify, so he's starting in 13th. Um, David Macedo wasn't able to. He had qualified. I can't remember if David was at the top or second, but he had originally qualified very high, but had to reset his game to fix an issue and didn't make it back into the race in time for where the session started. So it's starting David from the back, and then Doherty had a disconnect, or Doherty did not hit the start button while he was making some adjustments to his car, so he's starting from the pits. So we've got three pretty quick guys that are going to be starting from the back. And then the rest of the qualifying order here, we have Alvarez, um, we have Mikhail Macedo, Scott Taylor, Nick Driveman. Nick Driveman, great qualifying all the way up in well, fifth. If you factor Darty's disconnect, he's up in fourth. So yeah, it's got some kind of new faces towards the front, so this will be good.
and it's an idea we've actually thrown around. Um, is sort of the idea of reverse grid, fastest guys at the back, um, type of action, and I guess we'll see how it goes. Um, it's it's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, it's a whole different adds a whole different dimension to it when you got the fast guys in the back having to make their way through traffic. So
Yeah, and I love Kyalami. I think this should be, they're getting formed up here too wide to get ready to start, but it should be a exciting track. You've got a lot of passing opportunities here. You got they're passing the infamous curb, as Miller kind of touches that and jumps over. That's what you want to avoid to do in the race. Um, you've kind of got that. That's always a danger every lap. So it'll be fun to see how this all kind of pans out. And we'll start with the helicam as they're getting ready to go. Just give us a good view of the cars here. And turn one, definitely a dangerous spot. We've seen incidents here before. It's a pretty sharp left, and a lot of people start to go 3 wide, as we see there. Little bump, drive. Drive goes to rejoin in contact with Taylor.
Seeing it from this angle, that looked like that might have been a little 50-50 between Taylor and Driveman there.
Yeah. Don't want to ever call out fault on the broadcast. We want to leave that to the actual steward's review of everything. But there was definitely some contact there. That one will have to be reviewed. Everything kind of getting spaced out here in the front. You got David Macedo already working his way through the pack. He just got around Francisco there. And Moda is going past Scott Taylor. So Moda and David Macedo already working their way up. Moda all the way up into 6th. It's reporting Macedo in 9th right now. So these guys not hesitating to start making their moves through the pack.
No, there's enough room, so I mean, why not? I mean, this is a fairly wide track.
It is. That's one of the things I love about it. And we got Pedro right alongside Scott Taylor here. It looks like he had a little bit better speed through that corner and had the inside, but Taylor's kind of looks like he has the legs down the straight. Pedro better positioned into the turn. He's going to keep it tight inside, and it looks like he's going to pull it off and close the door, not give a chance for an undercut there.
Yeah, T1 here is kind of an interesting corner. There's quite a few lines you can take through there, and really depending on how you do it, you don't lose a whole lot of speed going wide. So
yeah, that's the fun thing when you have some of these tracks that you can kind of have alternate lines. It always sets up more passing opportunities and adds to the excitement. So Alvarez is pulled out a little bit of a gap from Kyle Macedo. So he's starting to pull away. Friedland's one of our new drivers. This is his first race with us, and he's at the moment battling Pedro.
it's interesting to see guys driving the Ferrari. It's sort of fallen out of favor. Most people who used to drive it say it's just a little uncontrollable. So it's always cool to see people driving, maybe not what's considered the meta.
Yes. I like seeing a diverse group of cars, and I like to see drivers challenging themselves too. If they're too comfortable in one car, switching it up. I know David Macedo is someone who likes to change cars and challenge himself. And David, I didn't see what happened there exactly. We'll go back. It looks like David had the inside, and I don't know if we'll go helicam to give us a better view.
Yeah, that looked like a bit of a block, unfortunately. That's yikes.
David lets Friedman rejoin, does the classy thing, doesn't jump right back in front. And that's going to have David fall back. There's a large group right behind Friedman. So we've got Darty. Darty's got his way up there now. Miller. We've got Stefan Buckley, who's back this race. Good to see him back. Macedo, and then good old Scott Taylor there. So quite the group.
Saw Doherty have to sort of get out of the way of Evans' Audi coming out of I don't know what that'd be, T2 or T3, and he actually got him on the outside of that the long sweeping right-hander. That was a pretty nice move on the outside.
We'll go back and catch that one too. I see we had Moda just make it past Demler, so Moda now up into third already. It did not take him long to get up into the top three. That's I mean, Moda has been blazing fast here, so not exactly unexpected, but I don't think I would have expected him to move through the pack quite that quick. So here's back to Doherty and Miller, what you were talking about.
Yeah, that's just a whole gaggle of cars.
It is, and I think Miller might have got held up a little bit, and that lets Doherty get alongside.
Man, a couple two-wide battles going in there. Everyone seems to have kind of gotten in line, though, so that's...
Yeah, and I'm just going to stay with the heli cam because it gives us a better view of all these cars. It's such a big group.
Yeah, unfortunately, that incident between Macedo and Friedland seems like it kind of stalled David back here a little bit. It looks like he's kind of stuck in traffic.
And we're approaching the infamous Kyalami salami here. Let's see if everyone stays clear. No contact. Everyone makes it past. And it's going to be a drag race here with David Macedo and Stefan Buckley. And Doherty, alongside Buckley and Macedo there, opts to go wide. He probably should have stayed behind Macedo. It might give Buckley a chance to get back in front, which it does.
Wow.
And look at this shuffling. He got three wide here. Taylor is going to make it past the group. Macedo looks like he found his way back in front of Friedland.
Well, yeah, this is quite the train we got going on here.
See what?
This is not something we've really been seeing a whole lot of this season.
No, this has been exciting. And we've got, okay, so Macedo gets inside of Scott Taylor going downhill, keeps it, makes it stick. And will this set David free from the group? He had really good pace here. He had qualified second, so we'll see if he starts to pull away from this group and work his way to the next group, which is going to be Pedro in fifth. All right, Doherty now doesn't look like it's going to be debatable if he's going to be able to pull a move here. Yeah, didn't get up along inside enough to claim that inside line. This right here is a great opportunity to pass on, where if you can get a good run on that little uphill left, you can get a good run. Actually, here, Doherty, I'm not sure what happened to Buckley there. He just lost 3 positions. It almost looked like he was letting Doherty by, but I don't think he would necessarily do that. We'll ride on board with him here. It looks like he pulls over, goes to maybe brake to let Doherty by, and then downshifts a little too much, and a few other cars get by. I think maybe he had the intention of falling behind Doherty.
So I do know that Buckley said he was having some sound problems.
Ah,
He had no sound whatsoever, and I think at some point he decided it was probably more dangerous to keep fighting than to just let everybody else go.
that makes sense. So now, with Doherty past Buckley, that puts him on the back of Friedland here. Both cars a little shaky through that downhill section. And Doherty's going to try to go outside, which sets him up for the inside here, but no, Friedland's going to take that.
And it's interesting. This little bend here on the straight's technically T1, the kink, which, I mean, barely really at this point counts as a turn, but...
Who's the other track that does that? Laguna does that, I think. They count that kink as a turn.
But yeah, there's a few different lines through this place, and if you can hang it wide...
Ooh. It looks like he's going to work to try to get around him here. Let's get... It's going to be on the outside. We'll have to see. It'll put him on a good position for the next turn, but only if he can stay alongside of him, which he does. So that's going to give Doherty the position.
Yeah, too wide through Sunset always kind of scares me because it's... If you've got a little too much speed, you almost always understeer wide. So
you've got to have a lot of trust on that inside car. It's not going to come into you, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, now we're on with Nick Driveman.
Oh, this is looking familiar, Driveman and Miller.
Yeah, we're only missing Francisco, and actually I'm not seeing Francisco. It looks like he had a mechanical issue, a hardware issue, lap maybe 2 or 3. I have a clip of it we'll go back to a little bit later. Oh! Friedman whacks the wall and then gives Miller a touch. Driveman just barely avoiding him. And Stefan Buckley's going to take that back.
Did he clip the curb at Cheetah? Is that what happened there, or did he just lose it?
Let's go back. If it was... So it's not the curb. Looks like too much grass. A little too much. That's the other danger there. You clip the curb, sometimes you go wide, or if you just don't get close enough to the curb and go wide.
Yeah, that'll happen.
But does the right thing, safely lets every car back, so good driver etiquette from Friedland. That's what we like to see. Unfortunate it happened to him. He was having he was in that pack that was providing a lot of action, so...
Yeah, and I don't know that the contact between he and Miller was even preventable. I think at that point that car was fairly out of control. So
yeah, it's
unfortunate.
Another one here.
It's unfortunate that Miller finds himself the center of another incident this season. But
so now I know it is, and we got Pedro and Daimler. And this is where I think Pedro is going to take him there, so nice and clean. Daimler doing a great job all the way up in, was in 4th, but still in 5th place after this position change. But that's a strong position.
And it's good to see that the Lambo seems to be suiting Pedro. seems to be coming to grips with it. Yeah, I wonder how Evan's faring after that contact. If he's got a side by side through the S's, that's
Yeah.
dangerous.
You know, Nick's
But hey, I
Nick's
mean,
never
nope.
afraid to stick his nose in. He's a clean driver, but he's not a reserve driver either. And
Oh,
comes into Miller. This is likely the case of, let's see. So it's
yeah, it looked
so
like it
easy
was.
to do this here, where everyone coming into this hairpin doesn't take the inside. You always kind of go to the mid track or out or wider, and it looks like you have an open door. But if you brake too late, that car that's in front's always going to be cutting across, and that's what happened there.
Yeah, that's always a closing door.
Yeah, it's such a it's
It's
almost
enticing.
torture. Yeah, yeah. It beckons you every time. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
this is it. Come on, jump in here, take this position. But we've seen incidents even from experienced drivers. John Snow made contact with Doherty there, same kind of situation. So it gets everyone.
and it's rough. I mean, you're already committed to your line. You're already hard on the brakes. Um, and then you see somebody coming up on your inside like that. I mean, sometimes you don't even see it. By the time they're on the radar, they've already hit you. So it's
Oh yeah, you definitely don't see it, and I think everyone when they go through that turn, as the car on the outside that's in front, you're always kind of cringing because it happens so fast.
that's the issue, though. I mean, you leave a door open like that, and someone's going to try to take it. So your only options are to let them through, or sort of take a really defensive line through there and sort of
Yeah,
destroy your own
sacrifice your
yeah,
lap time
destroy
to
your own
yeah.
exit out of the corner to. Oh, nice.
Yeah, Darty's gonna make it past Taylor. And we missed it at some point. Moda looks like he made it past Kyle Macedo. So Moda rocking already into second, 4 seconds down from the leader. So not even 15 minutes into the race, Moda not playing. He can he might. I don't think you would consider him the favorite when he was started from the back, but he was looking fast in practice all week and everything. But I don't think I expected this from him. So great job, Moda. Now he is driving the
Yeah,
Porsche, so there's always that chance. that,
yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it almost seems
mm,
like tracks like this are tailor-made for the Porsche. So
I'll tell you what. At the moment, we don't have. This is probably the first. Well, we got Buckley on Miller. We'll watch this. What I'll do real quick, Jay, I'm going to pull up the. I have the footage of what happened to. What happened to Francisco here? So let me pull. Okay. Let me know when you can see.
yeah,
So you can see all of a sudden the wheel just going crazy. So that's what took Francisco out of this race.
yeah. He told me he actually had a wheel disconnect. His wheel disconnected. which I mean
Unfortunate
is
stuff.
unfortunate.
Yeah, he's been having a great season, especially just starting with us, and he was um, pretty competitive here as well. I know he had put some time in Saturday. Ooh,
Ooh,
Stephon Buckley getting a little drifty there. The battle of the Audis here.
yeah, you'll never convince me otherwise. The Audis and the Lamborghinis, I think, are the best sounding cars in this game.
They're two of I definitely like them. I think the Audi much better behind the car than in the car. The sound of it. Um, but yeah, I like the Audi. I'm a huge fan of the Aston V8, especially in the car driving. I think the Aston's one of my favorite sounding personally.
I mean, man, you get me a V10 and I'm in heaven. And if you don't like it, I will fight you.
All right, so I don't know how much damage that did to Miller, but he's managing to uh, eke out away from Stephon Buckley here. So it looks like he's still got good speed going, even with a few of the rubs and hits he's been involved in. Yeah, I feel like poor Evan that he's had some cursed luck lately to no fault of his own. I mean, he had some incidents where he lost control of the car at what was it at Watkins Glen, but then got taken out there. I think um, some incidents in some of the other races, but this one he's had quite a little bit of getting smacked around a bit, but still doing well and holding it down.
Yeah, it's one of those cases of um, if he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all.
Hmm.
So,
So we'll
but
go to
you
the.
know, that's part of it's part of building character as a I mean a sim racer or really any hobby that you have is sort of taking knocks and trying to come back from it. I think I just saw a car off the track
I
there.
think I did. That was Alvarez taking his normal dirt road that he likes to dabble with now and then. I remember the last race he went off part of the track, but yeah, he's that was maybe he's feeling the pressure of Moda creeping up on him, so just pushing a bit too hard. Definitely, I think if Moda's faster than you here, you kind of just got to let it go. I wouldn't try to push too hard because he's still a good distance in front of third. So if he can, even if Moda gets by him, he'll still have a really good shot at retaining and keeping second place.
Oh, I don't know, man. If I were either Kyle or Eric, I'd be pulling every trick in the book to try to keep Moda behind me. I mean, it's for points, it's for position. I mean, I know the guy is just wickedly faster than I am, but
Oh, a
oh,
little
yep.
too much of the curb, and that's going to take him off. Luckily,
That's,
it looks like he might have escaped with not any real severe damage, or maybe no damage at all.
well, I mean, that's just the NSX doing NSX things. So,
Yeah. Like I said, I can't help but wonder if he was watching that Delta and letting it
well,
distract him a
probably.
bit.
Probably having flashbacks of that OnlyFans car behind him from last race.
Well, he has to stay on the track, because otherwise that OnlyFans car might come back to see him again.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely a risk.
Speaking of OnlyFans, let's see. He is right on the back of Demler, so he's worked his way up to that next group. We mentioned the fact that once he got past Friedland earlier, we'd see him pull away from that group and move up to the next one. And here he is, Demler, and then it'll be Pedro after Demler.
I was kind of expecting David to be a little farther up by this point, so I'm wondering if maybe
Well, I think he had that little bit of a um, collision with, was it Free? Who did now? I can't. Yeah, Frank Friedland, right? That put him back, and he had to
Yeah.
kind of get back through that whole pack again. Oh,
Oh,
Daimler. Oh,
oh,
David kind of does
they're,
the
take,
same thing on the opposite side.
they're taking turns.
Yeah.
Macedo had a sympathy off track.
Yes, he did, and that's gonna let Doherty kind of gain a little bit of ground on these two. So he's made his way up into this group as well now, or making his way up to this group.
I was actually wondering if Macedo maybe got held up behind Doherty for a while, if Mike was fighting him.
No, I think he made it. He was. I don't think Mike was ever in front of David, because Mike started from the pits.
Oh, that's right.
So he was in the group with David, but David was. I think even when he dropped back from that little contact with Friedland, I think he was still in front of Doherty and Miller at that point.
Well, I mean, in that case, Doherty's done a pretty good job to make his way through the field as well. I mean, if he's right behind Macedo, then
Yeah, Doherty, Moda, and Macedo all
Alvarez.
doing a great job.
Oh no, Alvarez started on the grid.
Yes, he did. He did. And this is the fun part too, as you progressively make it through the grid when you're starting back. Each car you kind of get to the next car that's a little faster, a little faster, a little better pace, a little better pace, and makes it a little bit more difficult to pass each time. David, though, door wide open on the inside and was able to get alongside in the braking zone and take that position. Classic textbook turn two pass here, since we're that kink you were talking about earlier. Darty off the track. Oh, he was lucky. I've seen cars spin when they're in that much of the grass there.
I just taking the scenic route.
Yeah, they took more of a scenic route than Alvarez did, that's for sure. Yeah, he needs to avoid any issues too. It's already difficult trying to regain position starting from the back, but you don't want to cost yourself any other issues this race. Already missing starting where he qualified because of that being in the menu or whatever before hitting readying up. All right, so David makes it pass. Oh no, sorry, go ahead. No, you go, Jay.
The thing I hate is when you're just doing last minute changes and you got 15 seconds left and you hit you back out of the menu and the little spinny circle of death pops up as it's sort of calculating your suspension changes to your setup, and you can't hit drive while that's happening.
No.
So I've had a few times where I was just a little late coming out of the menus, and because of that, I missed the opportunity to hit drive and had to start from the pits.
And Doherty is going to move up the inside here. Kind of same move Macedo had before. So Doherty has that inside. Now he still too wide here. He hasn't pulled in front of him yet. There we go. So Doherty's made it in front. If he can hold the inside here, not go wide into the grass again, and did not hold the inside, but was able to keep the car on the track enough to stay in front of Demler. So that'll move Doherty up into 6th place now. And Pedro has found Kyle Macedo out on the track now.
Wow.
This is a happy day for Pedro. Anytime
Pedro looked like he had so much more speed coming through there. I wonder if Kyle just had an issue.
Possibly.
Yeah, coming down through mine shaft.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Thankfully, there was enough of a gap. Even getting on the brakes, he wasn't too close, but you saw how fast he closed on him there.
Yeah.
And Pedro's going to opt to take the pit stop here. So we are 25 minutes, so almost the halfway point. I guess he figures we'll get the pits. Doesn't want to get stuck behind Kyle or risk wasting time battling with Kyle. So I think that's gonna have David 8 seconds behind Kyle right now. And Darty 1.3 behind David Macedo.
Oh, that looks like that has come down a little bit. That looks pretty close to me.
Yeah, I think you're right. It does look like he closed it in more than 1.5. Yeah, and you called it. Just updated. Shows nearly half a second.
Yeah, I wonder how that Nissan feels through the S's. Wonder if it's as
Heavy.
over or as understeery as I remember it.
Heavy. It feels heavy through the S's. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
I
the way
know
the
from
suspension gets bottoms out at the bottom of that hill. You just see the cars just bottom out when they hit the bottom, and they always look like they're about to lose control. I've actually seen cars, if you're a little bit too stiff on the suspension or the travel, I've seen them just blow out of control there at the bottom of the hill when you're going to pull that left.
well, I can confirm I've had it happen on the Merc before.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Merc is not a car I like around this track. I mean, it's a fun car to drive at times, but
Hmm.
this track is just not. It's not my favorite. I mean, the track's fine. In the Merc, it's just not my favorite track.
No, I get what you mean. Some cars just have tracks that they're just
Yeah,
not suited for.
I absolutely love this track. It's
So do
unfortunate that
I.
I'm not better at it, but
Oh, it's a track that I don't even I don't have to be great at it to still enjoy it. Like I just
mm,
it's very spa-esque to me where you have the elevation changes. You've got a good amount of speed and flowing, and then you got this little bit tighter sections. Um, yeah, I think it's kind of one of the slept-on tracks in this game.
yeah, I mean, T2 all the way through 5. You know that windy section just after the really hard braking zone off the straight,
Hmm.
and mine shaft down the back straight
Yeah.
are two of my favorite parts of this track. Into the crocodiles and through Cheetah. Right here, as a matter of fact, into crocodiles.
Yeah, one of the things I like about that turn is that you can kind of take, like you said, there's so many turns through here where you have the different lines, and I even like it because if you're set up to set past somebody, you can kind of almost start that one on the inside and then break your way outside to kind of extend your braking area, so long as they're not right up against you, and and then hold that inside line there. I think it's a lot of places on this track have some good setup spots for passing.
There aren't too many places where I will say um, backing out is the best solution. But if you're running too wide up into Cheetah, you know that really subtle right hand kink um, coming into the last turn just before the straight.
Yeah.
If if you're on the inside, man, you need to just you need to just take stock of what's going on and decide if this is really the hill you want to die on, because it's going to go badly for somebody and probably for both of you.
Are you talking about the one right before the sausage curb at the end, or
That one, the
yeah,
sausage
the
curve.
sausage curb? Oh yeah, there's
Yeah.
so I I will make people think I'm gonna pull something there just for the sake of trying to have them panic or alter their line through that section, because it's
Hmm.
like you saw earlier um, with Freeland, where if you go too wide, it throws you off track, or if you go too inside, you hit that curb. So I'll pretend, but Yeah, I don't think anyone really really wants to go too wide through there. That seems like the kiss of death right there.
Oh, it's not good. I mean, I've seen it happen.
I mean, it's not easy
It's
to go by yourself through that section.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, really?
Yeah.
This is what you've, you know, it's
That's
like
funny.
you've woken up and chosen violence. Uh, Meme that you see. Yeah, that's just not a good thing to do. The McLaren has definitely looked a little bit more planted this race.
Yeah, he hasn't been doing his style point drifties, has he?
No, and as a matter of fact, I've seen a few places where it looks like it's actually understeering quite a bit. So I wonder if maybe there was a bit of a setup tweaking going on to try to get rid of that.
So I did talk to David Macedo. This is actually his first time racing Kyalami. He missed past races where this track was on the schedule, and he's never raced it outside of um, any championship either. So this was his first time on the track this week, and maybe it's something too where he didn't get to kind of he was spending more time learning the track than messing with the setup. So maybe that explains
Oh,
it.
nice excuse. No,
What'd
no,
you
I know what that. Nice excuse.
Nice
I know what that's
excuse.
like.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I am envious if I don't think there's a single track I could jump in for the first time and learn it and be as competitive as David is on this. So props to
I mean,
him.
it does help being able to, maybe even for the first few laps, just kind of see what lines people are taking, and then just sort of. So that's the thing about some people. Some people will claim that you can't learn how to drive um, racing against AI, and you can only learn how to drive racing against real people. But
Mm.
it's like the one way to get better is by being in a race with someone. Not even. Whoa.
Oh, that was Nick.
I would say that's a shortcut, but I think he actually added distance onto that lap. Um, they don't even have to be massively faster than you,
Hmm.
but just sort of following someone around the track and figuring out, where you could be braking sooner, or where you're braking too late, or any of that stuff is just a massive help.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. You can pick up a lot just trailing somebody, and that's another thing that helps too when you look at if you join practices during the week, like we do our practice, we have 3 practice events where we practice. Oh, Darty's going to jump into the pit, so I think he got didn't see that he was going to make it around David, so maybe decided to pit instead and hopefully get him during David's pit stop. We'll have to see how that works out for him. So we've got, let's see the closest. It's
Looks like
showing
Taylor and
Miller's.
Miller are fairly close.
Yeah, it says 7. Oh, there we go. I was gonna say it was showing 7 seconds, but I was like, "There's no way that's 7 seconds." Unless this is the ultimate zoom wide angle camera shot I've ever seen. So, yeah, it updated into 2 seconds. So now it must have happened during pitting because Miller, or yeah, Taylor was in front. So Miller's managed to gain a good amount of ground.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if maybe there wasn't a spin somewhere, or
Could have been.
or
That would have explained it.
or Taylor just being super careful in the pits, because we've seen a few races ruined for Taylor due to just a little bit too much speed coming into or going out of the pit lane.
Well, these guys have driven, in a lot of championship races close to each other, and they practice. They're two of the more common people you see at the weekly practices as well. So, um, no no lack of experience driving near each other. So they know both of each other really well, and I'm sure there's a lot of trust they have with each other too. If we start to see some battling.
Yeah, and that's something I mean I haven't seen it. I don't know if it happens in the wider sim racing community, but we do tend to run sort of a few weekly practices where the guys can all get together on track and practice with each other, not just by themselves, not just hot lap, but actually be on track with each other and talk and get to know each other a little bit better. And I mean, I do think that breeds a bit more respectful racing. You tend to get to know the people you're racing against a bit better than it would be if you just showed up for just the races and none of the practices. So I mean, it's good to see that the guys that take advantage of that, um, it does seem to help.
Yeah, and it's great. Like you're not just practicing the track, but you're getting to practice with the guys you're going to be racing with. So, you build that trust or familiarity with their driving styles and everything throughout the week. And another benefit is back to what you were saying earlier about driving behind a guy in a race and picking up stuff. It's really helpful to join these practice sessions too, because you can pull up your timesheet and kind of look at the different sectors too and go, okay, well, this guy is crushing me in sector 3. Let me ride on board with him for a little bit and watch how he goes through sector 3 compared to what I'm doing. And ooh, Taylor
Ooh,
closes
ooh.
in really tightly there on
Yeah, that looked
Miller.
like that looks like some brakes on the old Ferrari there, and I'm
Mm,
surprised it did not just whip around on him. That was some pretty good driving by Scott to avoid
yeah,
a contact there.
Taylor is pushing.
Yeah, and something that I always used to preach when
Oh no, the
oh
the
oh
the
yeah, we had the same
infamous.
issue, same issue.
Yep.
Well, but hey,
And
Taylor waited for him, so
yeah,
that's
Taylor always class act guy, so I wouldn't expect anything less from him. But we'll ride on board here and see. It's the exact same thing with Driveman earlier, and it just you see it open, and you can stop to the apex, so you're comfortable doing it. But the issue is that the guy in front, because you're not alongside of him fully into the braking zone, still has the right.
yeah. When you're coming that far back into a braking zone past somebody, that's I don't know that that was intentional, but
No, no, I
that was a
know it
bit of a
wasn't.
dive.
It's
So
it's that turn. It's so inviting. It gets everybody. It really is. You just because you're a lot of people when you get to it, you judge it that okay, I know I can stop the car by the apex. Like I'm not gonna push past it. But the issue is that guy on the outside is not late apexing it. They're cutting across right into the peak of the
yeah,
apex.
exactly.
So it's such a tricky turn. I don't know if it catches people off in real life as much as it does in sim racing, but I see that all the time, and we've seen it twice already today. So no harsh judgment on anyone who made that move.
Oh, I see some
It
pretty
happens.
pretty heavy
Yeah.
front end damage on Pedro there.
Let's go back. It looks like it was. Yeah. So okay. So it looks like Doherty
Oh, looks like sunset.
had.
Looks like maybe he
Oh yeah, touches that inside curb And it just really unsettled that Lambo.
Yeah, touches the inside curb, goes completely off throttle, which can also cause the back end of the Lambo to get a little light. And had to counter steer it, front end caught, and just right off the track.
Shot him right off, yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Pedro was having a really good race.
Yeah, he's having an outstanding race, and even with Darty closing in, we know Pedro's not afraid of having a guy in his rearview mirror. I think he just looks back at that rearview mirror, smiles, and blocks every apex he can. So
Yeah,
he would have been just fine. If anything, Darty got a huge time savings here that he probably would have been stuck battling with Pedro. That he'll now be able to start trying to work his way to Kyle Macedo.
you know,
I, I would have loved to see
Pedro
some Pedro battling.
Pedro kind of reminds me of a Bond villain. I mean, I can just kind of see him in that car with his finger on like the oil slick or the caltrop button.
Oh my god, yeah, if they did. He would.
Spiked wheel hubs, all that stuff.
Oh, completely. What was that all like dastardly racing? What was that back in the
Wacky racing.
whack? Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and looks like
Yeah.
Miller coming through the crocodiles got a little loose there. Let's hope
Yeah, it
that
looks like
wasn't
just
just him.
goes a
Oh
little
no,
too much. So it was Miller on that left curb just got a little
yeah,
too far to the left. Tires looked like they made a touch the grass and it just kind of pulled him around when he went to get back on.
yeah. Hard braking on a curb like that's always sort of a risk because I mean these curbs they are textured, but they're just paint. So and I don't remember if there's sawtooth curbs here, but the uh, the tire jumping does not help with braking.
No. And the other thing too is if you get the car on the outside of the curb, a lot of these where there's grass, it's you have that smooth section of the curb between the road and the curb. But if you drop off to the grass, a lot of times it's almost an inch or two straight drop where it'll really unsettle the car too, bringing it back over that part of the curb.
Yeah, I found that out at was it Silverstone?
Silverstone, I remember that. You didn't even have to say. Yeah, that was. I remember we had to go back and look at that replay, zoomed in on the wheel trying to figure out what happened because it looked like the physics just broke and it didn't make any sense. When we went back and watched it, that's exactly what happened. It dropped off the curb.
That's the first time I've ever seen a Ferrari brand frisbee.
Oh, and
I think
it's almost
Taylor
like
just took
Taylor was
the
like, anything you
exact
can do, I
same
can do
thing.
better, and just
Exactly.
does these.
Yeah, he went for big air on that one. His
Yeah.
tires be screaming. I wonder if maybe
Hmm.
there's no way he came out of that without at least a flat spot.
Yeah, flat spot and a couple degrees warmer.
Yeah, those tires are going to be screaming for at least a lap.
Yeah, that's a really good point to bring up. That's one of the other side effects when you do have a big spin, even if you save it or no damage. If you're not watching yourself, the next turn you go into, you might push right through it because the car understeers because the tires are hot and overinflated, or the back might come in on you if you're running that like borderline traction control that you've got dialed down just enough to prevent you from spinning normally. As soon as those tires start getting too hot or too overinflated from a spin, your car will be a lot
Yeah,
looser.
yeah, and if you mash the brakes while you're spinning, your tires are going to be destroyed. You have 4 flat spots, and it's going to feel like you're driving a car with wood blocks for tires. It's not fun. 30 minutes of Spa on flat spotted tires, season 1. That was
You just
my elbows and wrists were
yeah.
not happy with
I was
me.
gonna say even when you take your hand off the wheel, I'm sure you still feel your hand bumping. Oh, so it looks like Alvarez, great job, through the pit stop, managed to get back in front of Moda. So I don't know if maybe Moda maybe rolled through the pits and it added a few seconds, like rolled past his pit box or what, but Alvarez back in front. So another chance to see if he can keep Moda behind him. Oh, and a puff of smoke. Alvarez might be feeling that pressure already.
So a little break in the fourth wall here, but I did happen to catch a conversation between Alvarez and Moda here, and uh, they mentioned that they had a battle of dueling spins. Apparently,
Ah,
apparently after their pit stops, they both did a few pirouettes, and
in the pit lane.
no,
Oh, okay, okay.
afterwards
I didn't know if
coming out,
I didn't know if it was like they floored it leaving the pits and just spun.
and apparently neither one of their uh, sets of tires were all that happy with them after that.
Mm.
So, from what I hear, things were not all they were not well in in their respective garages.
Well, at least it happened to both of them, so
Yeah,
they
right.
both dealing with it.
Exactly.
And here's that turn of danger, and you have Moda immediately lets off, knowing there's nowhere to push through side by side on that.
Yeah, the cheetah side by side is that's always kind of scary. I mean, even if you know the guy you're racing with, it's
Yeah, I don't even like to be on someone's tail through there, honestly, because there's guys that break a little different through there too. Even lap to lap, I've seen where some won't break it. I've seen some people just do let off. I've seen other people um, just kind of tap a little bit to kind of get the weight transferred to the front and rotate the back a little bit. So
oh,
I
Alvarez
don't
looked
even like to be
like
close. Yeah, nice job by Moto where he got through nice and clean.
it's a little wide going through there on Alvarez's part.
Mm-hmm. And that might be just what you were talking about with the tires, not quite feeling.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where whenever there's a pit stop involved, and we've talked about this, is some guys some guys elect to do the pit stop stuff manually. Some elect to have that managed by stuff like crew chief. We don't really have any stipulations on whether you have to do it yourself. I mean, that's not really something that you can regulate. So, but when you're doing it on the fly during a race, there's so many problems
Hmm.
you can run into, like underinflated tires, overinflated tires, not taking enough fuel, taking too much fuel. It's at a certain point, it just becomes sort of damage mitigation. You've accidentally
Ooh.
underinflated your tires, and now you have to make it around the track on tires that are 25 and a half, 26 psi, sliding all over the place.
And Kyle slide a little bit back there. He managed to he had quite a bit of grass there, but managed to keep control of the car and get it back on the track. So I'm sure he's wiping the sweat off his brow, maybe
Yeah, it's like the
checking
scene.
his pants.
It's like the scene from Airplane where it's just literally a waterfall
Yeah.
coming down his hairline.
Yeah. Because again, you never want to lose a place. You always want to try to fight, retain the position, not let the guy behind you pass. But the absolute worst thing is while you're trying to keep him off, you make some huge mistake that then costs you severe damage or multiple places, and then you're really kicking yourself. So
I can't help but feel called out here. No, I'm joking.
I'm saying it's happened to me before. I'm
Yeah.
talking from
No, I know.
experience, not pointing a finger.
It's yeah, it's always rough. I mean, we've talked about there are guys that just don't seem to be bothered by it. Sort of more worried about what's going on in front than what's going on behind them.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of a skill. You have to practice it. You sort of have to force yourself to. You have to force yourself to drive. Apexes and hit your braking points and all that stuff, and try not to worry about the guy behind you. But
Yeah.
it's not always something that's possible. I mean,
No, it's hard not to focus on that guy. It helps a lot when you can actually trust the people you race with, like where you're not cringing thinking they're gonna hit you from behind every turn. But yeah, it's hard to focus in front of you when you got someone right on your tail.
well, I mean, coming from somebody, and I'm only speaking from personal experience here, so I spent most of my time racing public lobbies in
Oh,
ACC.
you poor guy. You must have so much
Yeah.
PTSD.
Oh, you have no idea. So all of the aggressive and defensive driving and all that stuff I learned. Oh, Kyle goes off
Guy
there.
goes off.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Two abreast? No, Kyle. Looks like Kyle backed off.
And now we'll see if maybe Kyle tries to lunge up here. No, not going to be close enough. And but Darty does go super wide.
And this is actually not a bad place for Doherty to be. Sort of bait the car behind him onto the inside, which is going to be the outside for this next corner.
Darty wide again. You see that too sometimes where you're behind somebody trying to get around them and you finally get past them, and then you just it goes wide through that one and misses another apex. You think?
I mean, it's still there. He just needs to find it.
Yeah, it's like I got that position, and then you're just sitting there all excited and almost gonna lose it.
Yeah, exactly.
Break your brand new toy.
Well, I mean, so back to the point. I learned all of that defensive and aggressive driving and stuff against people I didn't know. So everything was on a knife edge, super twitchy, was always assuming you were going to get hit, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of a skill in itself, is being able to race door to door with people you don't know. So I sort of learned to not worry about the guy behind me because he's probably going to hit me anyway. Just focus on my race, and if he takes me out, he takes me out. So the guy in the rearview mirror doesn't bother me that much, but I know some guys get super freaked out by it.
Oh yeah, I mean, it gets me having someone. I can't think of a way to hate my race more than to have someone directly on my tail all race. It makes a 1 hour race feel like a 3 hour race if you have someone just on you the whole time. It is
to know
draining.
I've contributed to that.
Oh,
to know that I've contributed to that feeling makes me
my
actually
God.
quite sad.
Even just having someone on you for 2 or 3 laps, it just, I mean, like I said, it just makes it feel like every minute's an hour, and every every second's a minute, every minute's an hour kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
so stressful. Much rather be like Scott right now, where you're closely following the car in front. You get to apply the pressure. That is, and that has its own stressfulness too. Even being racing close behind a guy, you don't want to rear end them. You don't want to ruin their race. So it can be stressful trying to keep as close as possible safely. But I still feel like that's easier, or less stressful than being the guy in front.
It definitely comes with its own challenges, I can tell you that much.
And let's see if they can both make it safely through here. No spin outs. Nice.
Some of my favorite memories from this track are watching people hit that sausage and just...
Oh, yeah. You know what?
Just,
We have not seen a lot of that today. I think.
No, actually, everyone's been given that sausage quite a wide berth.
Yeah.
And, I mean, frankly, outside of the context of this conversation,
Ooh.
that phrase makes no sense.
Yeah, Miller takes a nice tight line through there, but still manages to carry a lot of speed.
Yeah, and it looks like Macedo's about 1.3 down on Doherty right now, so it looks like Mike's kind of
Etching away. Yeah, looks like he's gonna be too far behind Alvarez, 15 seconds behind Alvarez, so I don't think there's gonna be a chance of seeing any more action from him up front.
Well, I mean, barring some sort of massive disaster for Alvarez, yeah, I think.
So
15 seconds might be a bit much.
You know what, too? If you remember back when Doherty went to pit, we were saying whether or not how that would play out with David Macedo, because David was in front of him at the time, and David's actually in 6th place. From talking to David, it looks like when he left the pit, he did not refuel and had to go back and pit again.
Oh no! And yeah, see, that just kind of goes back to the talk we were having, where it's like, when it comes to pit stops, there are so many things that can go wrong.
Yeah, impressive. David's still managing to be in 6th with that happening.
Now, it looks like that was Friedland letting these guys by on the straight there. And it looks like he just came out of the pits.
Yeah, I don't know if he maybe getting some...
Oh, no, never mind. I seem to remember him being in front of Miller coming through here last lap. So I don't think he did.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Pedro coming right up on these guys, too.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder, is Pedro on the same lap as these guys, or is he... Because I know... Oh, no, he's 2 laps down. I do know that he had to pit and fix some damage, so I was wondering if he was... Yeah, there's a few places on this track that really catch people out, where you think there's going to be a much better passing opportunity than you think there is, and that last corner is one of them.
Yeah, the last one for sure is as well. A lot of times, because you're going, you can't go double wide through the curb section, so you're never going to be like alongside of somebody there, so it's always going to be like almost like a dive bomb opportunity, unless somebody really mucks up that mucks up that turn with the curb, that second to last turn. If they muck up that and you close in on them fast, you got a great passing opportunity. But other than that, it's always going to be like a lunge and not a great place to try to pass inside. However, you also get a lot of people that misjudge the braking and will go wide there, and in that
Yeah.
case, you can get a great run on the down the front straight and get a lot of speed to get by them. And that's the thing, when you're practicing a track, um, any turn before a long stretch of track, that's a turn you want to nail. You want to make sure you're comfortable on that turn, that you're maximizing your speed or your exit out of that turn, because you're always going to gain so much time, and it's also always going to be a set you up for a possible passing opportunity when you have a turn followed by a long straight section of track.
And that's always kind of a hard decision to make, especially in the moment. Like, do I charge hard into the corner,
Mm.
or or do I or do I maybe take the entrance a little bit slower to get a better exit? Oh, and
Yeah.
looks like Miller had a connection issue there. He just disappeared and popped right back in front of Taylor.
Yeah, I don't know if that was maybe that's what made Taylor jump a little bit, was seeing him reappear in front.
Yeah, that's always a bit unnerving. I mean,
Yeah.
just see a guy disappear, because I mean, he's still there. When he reconnects, he's going to be somewhere on the track, and it's yeah, it's crazy.
And we see the fireworks up in the distance, so we've got Moda, Alvarez, Doherty coming down his pass, Kyle Macedo in fourth, Demler fifth, David Macedo looks like sixth, and then we're going to stay on board with Scott and Miller here. As they're working their way to the finish line, we're a little past the halfway point of the track. They're the hairpin, and then here comes the downhill section. Whew.
Oh,
Little,
that was a good
yeah.
pull out of that corner, but
He,
unfortunately Scott got a little bit loose on the rear end there.
yeah, he would have had a great run down this hill, and that's definitely a possible passing zone right here into this one, but he's not going to be close enough.
No.
And unless he gets a lot more speed through here, which he does carry a bit, but he is.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was.
Okay.
It was the final turn. Just figured it was now or never, but yeah, he was too far back to make that one happen.
I mean, to quote Danny Ricciardo, sometimes you just gotta lick the stamp and send it. But yeah, that was I don't think that was ever gonna work out there. And I think Scott knew he kind of messed up there a little bit, so he just kind of let Evan continue with his race. And it
Yep.
looks like Friedland had a penalty there at the end. I wonder if he.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. I'm just gonna go back and just let some of the footage from the race from this group of cars play out while we talk about the race as a whole. But awesome finish from a lot of the guys who started in the back. We saw Moda, Macedo made a lot of ground, unfortunately, because of that double pit, but still managed to finish sixth. Doherty made up a lot of ground, managed to finish on the podium. Uh, Evan Miller, seventh place. Great job from Evan. Scott finishing right behind him. Demler, all the way up in fifth place, had a solid race. There wasn't a whole lot eventful from Demler, as he was kind of just generally there with a couple cars getting by him during the race, but he didn't really have anyone really closely battling him for any extended period of time. But he managed to be consistent and end with fifth, so excellent job on his part. Any feelings on driver of the day for you?
Well, I mean, if I could give driver of the day to a collective group, it would be this gaggle right here.
No
You
kidding.
know, about 2 or 3 laps of just super close racing. I mean, there were a few incidents of contact, but I mean, that's uh that's something you don't really get in public lobbies.
No.
Is close racing like this that's clean. So
I feel like our broadcast didn't even do it justice because it was so like it was so close and so much battling here the whole time, but I think it watching it on even the replay didn't do justice to what I'm sure all these guys felt, in the heat of the moment with their adrenaline pumping and everything going.
oh yeah, I mean there's always something lost in translation when it comes to a replay. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it feels so amazing to do it in the moment, but then you watch it back and it's just like, oh, okay, well, that definitely felt a lot cooler. I
Oh
don't
my
know.
god.
I mean, that's a bit of a cop out, but I
Actually,
don't know. I'd have to go with.
I could give a group of cars driver of the day. It was a hell. I'll tell you what. I don't think I've seen a battle like this with this many cars this close for this many laps. I would allow it, Jay, if you wanted to do that. If we could
Yeah,
throw
sure. I mean,
we
I
could
would
throw
say,
6 names into your box.
yeah, I would say, this whole group here, all these guys, just sort of hanging out here, and
No, I mean, look at all this two wide action back and forth, everyone being mindful of each other. I mean, you do not see this kind of racing in public lobbies and even in most league races. It's things sort of space out. You don't get this kind of grouping of cars this many laps in. So
yeah, I mean, that's one thing I'm kind of super proud of this league is it's not just a hot lappers paradise. There's actually some racing going on, which is
oh yeah, and we
which is
love watching
cool.
racing on the broadcasts.
Exactly. Watching hot lapping is pretty boring. I mean,
Yeah.
it kind of sucks because the guys 20-30 seconds out in the front don't get a whole lot of coverage, but I mean there's just something that's just not all that entertaining about watching a single car drive around the track by itself.
Yeah, we let the cars do the talking, not us. That's the
Exactly.
better way of doing it. We're not just filling in filler while we're waiting for the next action thing to happen. But no, I will. Since you've taken 6 drivers or 6 cars for your drivers of the day, that leaves me with the other half of the field. I know that I had just went with Moda last week, and I hate to go back and do Moda again. But I feel like the fact that he managed to start from nearly the back and work his way to the front, um, I've got to give it to my man Moda. Back-to-back wins. I will promise I'll pick another driver of the week next week, but I'm going to use this one because I think Moda just deserves it again.
Well, I mean,
But
there's no stopping him now.
honorable mention though, Eric Alvarez just being consistently strong lately. Great race from him again, and also Kyle Macedo finishing just outside of the podium and fourth. He really did have an excellent race, and if a few things even went a little bit different, could have easily ended on the podium as well. So great race from him.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, I don't think we're gonna stop Alex now. He's had a taste, and now that he's got a few first places, I think this is it's the beginning of the end.
Well,
I don't think.
next week is Coda, so there's going to be I have never raced Coda before. Never even been out on it once to do a practice lap yet. But I hear it's track cut heaven, where it's just so easy to get a track cut penalty and drive through there. So
Yep, white lines are the track limits of Coda, and if you try to fudge that by even a pixel, you will get slapped. So.
okay, no doing lines at Coda. Got it.
Oh no, it's not Miami.
Well, I guess that wraps us up for today's broadcast. Thanks for everyone for joining us. And Jay, thanks again for joining me. Anything else to
Well,
add before we sign off?
no, just thanks for the opportunity. I mean, it does kind of feel like I just sit here and talk for an hour, but hey, if people are watching it, I'll continue to do it.
Well, let me tell you how many people you beat out for this, Jay. We had a long list of applicants, and somehow me and you got the job because we were the only people that put applications in. But it's working out. It's working out, I
Yeah,
think. So,
you know, there you
hey,
go.
no, I really do appreciate you joining because I think it adds a lot having that second person here. So I really do appreciate you. All
Oh,
right,
no problem.
well, anyone that wants to join us, one more race left in the season before we start a little bit of an off season with some fun races and things, just until we then we'll start season 6. But if you're interested in joining us for this final race and to race with us in the off season, see the Discord link in the video description. And everyone, we'll see you next week.